So this is the video of how this 1973 Rolls Royce Silver Shadow came to be in my possession. Stick with me, I hope you enjoy it. It sure didn't look like this when I got it. So let me explain. I have a good friend named Walt, and he has a business where he specializes in the repair and just anything to do with Rolls Royce and Bentley. And this particular Rolls Royce rolled into his shop in 2014. It was blue at the time, it was dark blue, and the owner said he wanted it brought down to bare metal and then epoxy primed and painted white. Well, of course, the customer agreed to the estimate, and work commenced on the car. They brought it down to bare metal, they epoxy primed it, and sprayed it white. Before they finished putting it back together, the customer decided he didn't want to pay. That not that there was anything wrong with the job, he just decided that it was too much and he wasn't going to pay. So he bailed on the car and basically never came back. At the time, all the glass was out of the car, all the trim was off it, a bunch of the interior had been taken out, all the door panels were taken off, because when you're doing a complete color change, you're also painting all the door jambs, and you had to take the interior panels off. So with everything completely blown apart, the car was just moved into storage, and that's how it sat from 2014 until I entered the picture in 2022. Now, I've been hanging out with Walt for a while, and I mentioned, yeah, these Rolls Royces, they're pretty cool. I wouldn't mind owning one, but they're a little pricey. He said, I've got some project cars. Maybe you'd like to take one on. And that's when he showed me this car. And well, let's just say it was cheap enough that there was no way I could refuse. More on that later. Of course, he'd done a mechanics lien and all that good stuff, and the car was legally his, and he had a title and all that good stuff. I'm sure many of you are aware how that process works. Now, one of the reasons I wanted a Rolls Royce, other than it's a Rolls Royce, is that I had gone with him to a show called the Hunt Country Classic, and it was a lot of fun. It's nothing but British cars. It was pretty neat. I had a great time, and I wanted to bring my own British car, but I didn't have a British car. So of course, this Rolls Royce was a natural choice. So this was 2022, and I wanted to have the car done by the 2024 Hunt Country Classic. Now, you'd think 2 years, that's plenty of time to get a car that was already 80% done, right? But, part of the deal when I bought it was that I would get to keep the car at his shop, which happens to be 45 minutes away from where I live. So I really only get out there about once a week to work on it. You might say, well, why didn't you just bring it home? Well, his shop also has a whole row of parts cars, and of course, he's an expert on a Rolls Royce and Bentley, and I'm not. So there's really no better place for the car to have been other than at his shop, where I could work on it. I mean, I had access to all of his specialized tools, and him, and the parts cars. So it really worked out. But I couldn't just work on it at night and on the weekends. Once a week, really, Sundays. But at any rate, the first order of business was to get the glass installed. Now, for that, Walt used a company to come out and do glass work. But I did have to order from England some very expensive seals for the window. As you can imagine, Rolls-Royce parts really aren't that cheap. So let's just say I'm really glad the car was mostly complete. So while I was waiting for the seals to come in, I went ahead and pulled the rest of the interior out and started cleaning it up. So imagine to my surprise, it was a really nice light blue cloth interior instead of a storage unit brown dirt color. This headrest and this armrest, this is the same cloth. I'm definitely gonna need to do some cleaning on this, and hopefully it comes out okay. There you go. There's yeah, it's a little gross. Now those are the bottoms of the front seats. They just pull out of a Rolls Royce. Here's some of the carpet. Look how thick this, and the door panels, they're pretty gross. That's actually a mirror. That's dust. Yeah. I spent many hours with my Bissell fabric cleaner getting the dirt out of this interior. Here's our before and after. I'm using my little carpet cleaning machine. This is the challenge here. You see that? That's what it's supposed to look like. That. All right, I'm definitely gonna have to take some more passes at this. Yeah, there you can see a little bit better there. No, that's not a pot of coffee. That is actually the dirt and grime that has come off all of the Rolls interior. I haven't used it on anything else other than the interior from the Silver Shadow. Nasty stuff, huh? But you know, the cloth interior did make me think, that's really odd. I've never seen a Rolls Royce with cloth interior. They all have leather. It's a luxury car. Why would it have cloth? Now, there's a Rolls Royce group in the U.S. and there's a Rolls Royce group in England. And because this car was right-hand drive, I assumed I needed to talk to the people in England. And I was right. People in the U.S. had no information on the car, but the people in England, they did. And the car was originally purchased by a dealership in London called H.R. Owen. And the car was, as I said, it was a dark blue. And it had a blue leather interior. So at some point in this car's, it only has 35,000 miles on it, it has been replaced with cloth interior. So now you might think, well, that's somebody cheaping out, and not replacing the leather with leather because leather is so expensive. But when you look at the quality of the work that was done with the interior, and you realize that there's not a single piece of leather left anywhere in the car. It's all gone. There's not a bit of leather. It was probably done for religious reasons. Somebody wanted a Rolls Royce, and they won't sit on leather. They won't touch leather. They won't have anything to do with leather. So that's probably what happened with this car, because there's really no reason for it not to have its leather interior other than that, which is fine. It really makes it a pretty unique. People kind of scratch their heads when they see it. Talking about the interior, Rolls Royces have beautiful wood in the interior, and this one, all the lacquer had failed. That's pretty common. You put lacquer in a car that spends any time outside in the hot sun, and that lacquer is going to eventually crack, peel, and come off, and that's what had happened in this case. The rest of the lacquer was stripped off, all of the wood. I had to take all the wood out, the wood dash, the wood armrests. In fact, I took all of the wood out except for the tray tables in the back. And the tray tables are kind of neat too, because when they did the interior, it looks like they added these cabinets which have crystal glasses and decanters in them. I wonder if the crystal's dishwasher safe. Brandy and sherry, and the sherry is half full. Smells like aftershave to me, so I'm not gonna try it out. The brandy, definitely brandy. And here I cleaned one of the glasses. It's got 3 on that side. I guess somebody had a little too much sherry or brandy and busted one of the glasses, so I'll have to see if I can find another one. But this one's clean, and well, those 2 aren't. Very swanky. After the wood was stripped, we actually stained it to be a little bit darker than it would have been from the factory, mostly because I liked it better. I thought with the car being white, a little darker stain would be nicer, and really sets off nice with the light blue interior. We had to stain it and then clear coat it, and then wet sand, and then clear coat again, and then wet sand again, and then clear coat, and then wet sand. And anyways, after 8 rounds of this, it finally was good enough where it was smooth and clear and looked a mile deep. But that took weeks, and that's because on one Sunday I would wet sand it, then we would clear it, and then it would dry for a week until the next time I was there, and then wet sand it again, clear it again, and then wait another week. So that's 2 months just doing the clear coat. Now, we really didn't know what the deal was going to be with the engine. In 2014, it ran and drove into the shop, so there shouldn't have been anything wrong with it other than it had been sitting. Well, 8 years at that point, so the gas was was, you know, gross. Fortunately, I guess Rolls Royce has thought ahead and that their owners may sit the cars for a while. It's got a drain on the gas tank, so it was easy enough to drain it. But it does have an electric fuel pump, even though it's a carbureted engine. It's got, in 1973, it does have an electric fuel pump. So we had to rebuild that. It was, you know, not working. So I had to take that off, rebuild it, replace the fuel filter and a few other things, and then rebuild the carburetors. It has these crazy carburetors, and it has two of them. So these are dual carbs, and this is the 6.75 liter engine. So it's a big one. Okay, just finished rebuilding the carburetors. Let's see. Purrs like a kitten. For those of you into American cars, and many people who watch my channel are into American cars, this has the, it actually has a General Motors Turbo 400 in it. So kind of interesting. I mean, it's modified design to work with a Rolls Royce engine, but it's the internals are Turbo 400. Now, of course, this thing did have brand new tires on it, but again, they were, you know, from 2000, well, they were like 2012 vintage, with barely any miles on them. I went ahead and decided to replace them. Oh yeah, I got the trunk weather stripping in. That's why the trunk's open. Here's our new weather stripping. It's looking pretty good. Gotta get some new tires. Those are dry rotten, unfortunately. They're brand new, but dry rotten. So I'm gonna take those stupid extra lights off down there. Now, some people have, I don't know about criticized my tire choice, but the standard Rolls Royce tire is gonna just have a white wall on it, and these have a white and gold wall on them. And again, you know, because the car is all white, it is a sea of white. I really like the gold wall that's on these tires as well as the white wall. Apparently this is a pretty common tire on a Cadillac. I mean, I think it looks great myself, and that's all that really matters. Fun little aside though, the tires I took off, I mean, they were, you know, dry rotten and cracking, but they did hold air. So, got some Rolls Royce tires on it because the tires on that were just completely shot. Now, the other kind of major maintenance thing we did was we rebuilt the accumulators, the braking and air ride suspension. Well, I guess it's air ride suspension on this. It's really kind of weird, and it uses these things called accumulators. Now this is where Walt comes into play. He definitely has all of the specialized tools needed to rebuild accumulators, and so if you have a Rolls Royce, you're either going to have to spend a lot of money buying some remanufactured units, or you need to know somebody like Walt to get those redone. And it's really one of those things that needs to be done because it's part of the brake system as well. So I'll tell you, time really flew by on this project, but before I knew it, it was about a week before the 2024 Hunt Country Classic, and the furthest I'd driven it was like a mile to the gas station, and that was it. I just kind of threw caution to the wind and drove it 45 minutes through the mountains to my own shop a week before the Hunt Country Classic. Did great. I wasn't really surprised that it didn't have any issues. I mean, Walt was there the whole way, and well, he said it was good. It was good. I mean, this really is the place where I should insert some YouTube drama, but I'm not really good at manufacturing that stuff. So another little sidebar, people have asked me how hard is it to drive on the right-hand side, and that's not actually hard at all. But if I never ride on the passenger side in the front again in my life, it'll be too soon. Because that's just weird, man. Weird. Right, so I got it home, no issues, and then spent a week, I mean a solid week, down here in the shop with my buffing wheel and my vacuum and everything, just detailing the car as best as I could. I'm certainly not a professional at it, but I think it came out all right. watch the Ammo NYC YouTube channel? That guy can detail. Don't take any advice from me. Watch that guy. Or the Detail Geek. He's pretty good too. There's another one, I think. Well, I can't remember the name of their channel. It's like WDC or something. They're pretty good too. Lots of great detailing channels out there. I don't really get into this level of detailing usually, but, well, these really look like they could use some cleaning. It's really down to the little stuff. And every time I find one thing and clean that and get that done, I find another thing. So then I did indeed drive it to the Hunt Country Classic. The day's finally here, and I am on my way to the Hunt Country Classic. It's been a 2-year journey so far, and it's certainly been a good time. Well, it looks like I made it, so I'm gonna go enjoy the show. And yeah, it was great. It was completely worth it. Oh, and you know, I did say I'd tell you what I got in the car. I have less than 8,000 total in this car. Some of you might find that hard to believe, but no, that's legit. Less than 8,000 in it. Now, am I gonna sell it? No. No, I have no intention of selling it. Would I do it again? Well, you bet I would. Absolutely. I can guarantee you that this is the first Rolls Royce I've owned, and it will not be the last. It is a pleasure to drive this car. And for the next one, I'll try and record the process a little bit better. But anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you down the road.